So basically, even if you only have one ISP to choose from, your market can be considered competitive because there might be an ISP within half a mile that could build out to provide service.
And I think that's really where the core of the issue lies, is like, if you have one ISP to choose from, you have one ISP to choose from. It's not competitive. It's like saying that
you don't actually have a choice.
Well, it's like saying that, oh, there's lots of competition here when there could be competition in the future. You're acting as if a future is here already.
So I mean, this is a really frustrating issue because on the one hand, I am pretty free enterprise in general. I'm a capitalist. But the problem here is that while you can make these sort of free market, capitalist sort of arguments for why there shouldn't be a bunch of regulation on what the major ISPs can or cannot do, how much they can or cannot charge their customers, you can make those arguments. But the problem is that that ship sailed like 100 years ago.
What do you mean?
At least maybe not 100 years ago, but that ship's, no, not the Mayflower. Oh. But the ship of having an unregulated market for telecommunications has already sailed.
I see.
So
we
now
already have regulation, so
you have to regulate it because building up that infrastructure was a joint enterprise between the private and the public sector. So because there was a public investment in it, there have to be public rules, and that infrastructure has to continue to serve the public.
I also see the argument from the perspective of like, hey, we should like set it up so that these companies are incentivized to expand their network and make things better. But the problem is that, like you said, there's already regulation, and also internet is way more of a crucial part of
everyday
life. In 2018. So it's like these kind of rules, I think, are definitely a little backwards thinking.
And the other issue with the sort of the free market argument is that it makes a lot of very optimistic assumptions about the way that businesses will behave. So the free market argument for, well, there's an ISP nearby, surely they could build out another half mile of fiber in order to access these customers. So you could say, well, surely that's the way that a competitive company would behave.
Right.
Except that it might not be. It might actually be much more profitable for that company to say, hey,
we got a monopoly over here.
Hey, bud, you keep your monopoly over there. We'll keep ours over here.
Yeah.
Neither of us will invest in any new fiber, and we'll each just charge more because who are you going to go to?
And then they
like, look, I'm a business owner. I would love if my corporate tax rate was 21%. It is a lot higher than that. That would be super cool for me. Who else would it be cool for? The theory was it would be super cool for the customers and the employees who would definitely get those savings passed along to them. In practice, what we're really seeing is a lot of stock buybacks. Do you know what stock buybacks do? They don't lower the price of the product for the customer. So I can pretty much guarantee you that the new iPhone 10s that Apple unveils on September the 12th are not going to have a 10% price break. Guarantee you that one.
Take that to the bank.
They do not go to the employees. There were a couple of token wage increases that did occur, but by and large, that has not been the trend, that everyone gets paid 10% more. So what a stock buyback does is it creates a shortage of the available stocks for that company because they are effectively buying their own stocks. And stocks, the pricing of a stock is entirely controlled by supply and demand. So if a company is running out and buying back its own stocks, what it is effectively doing is increasing the value of the stocks that are already held by shareholders. So the shareholders are making money, bearing in mind, of course, that any money you own in stocks is paper money. It's theoretical money until you actually sell it for a currency, but then again, currencies can fluctuate far more these days than a lot of people would be comfortable with. So you could again make the argument that paper money is also just paper money. And you know, maybe we should all just go back to gold. I mean, now all of a sudden we're going down a rabbit hole. But the point is, many of the stockholders, the shareholders for these large publicly traded companies are the executives that work for them. So the people getting paid are the people who own shares. And some of those people are members of the general public, but this was pitched as some kind of a boon for the everyman. And as a business owner, I can tell you, anyone out there who's trying to make the argument that business owners were going to take an extra double-digit percentage of effective profits and just go up in their Zeppelin and throw it out, rain it down on the people, on the downtrodden, is an idiot.
That's not how capitalism works.
That's not what I would do.
Right.
And that's not what anyone else would do. Because there's a lot of people that I kind of I look at what they're doing and I go, what's motivating you to say the things you're saying right now, or do the things you're doing right now? Like, are there pictures of you, like, with goats? Like I mean, very compromising photographs. You know, I look at the things that these people say and the things they do, and I go,
do you love hanging out with goats?
You know, you've got an education from Harvard or Princeton or whatever, presumably basic, fundamental, like, using your noggin a little bit was part of the curriculum there. So clearly you don't actually believe what you're saying. So what are we doing here? You know, like, how are we doing this?
People are flawed, Linus.
Anyway,
we should probably move on to that.
Yeah, why don't we move on? Why don't we do some, speaking of getting paid, sponsor spots.
Oh.